Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kevin Richardson and welcome back for the second video of 2020. Today I want to talk to you about improving your engineering design skills. Now, as a young engineer, I know that I'm still in this stage where I'm wanting to prove myself, I'm wanting to learn as much as I can, and so really internalizing that philosophy, I was able to pick up a lot of things just with my little bit of experience so far. But even if you're an experienced engineer, I'm hoping that maybe I can share some things with you that maybe you haven't heard of yet, or maybe things that you can pass on to some of the younger engineers that you're working with. Maybe you can show them this video and it would assist them or assist your team. So, with that being said, I'm going to show you 3 ways that I was able to improve my design skills. Number 1, spend some time on the shop floor. Now, this can be either whether you're working in a big company or you're working in a small tool and die shop, it's still the same thing. Go where the production of whatever you design is taking place. As an undergrad, I didn't really get that much focus on the manufacturing process side of things. Most of it was the equations, fluids, dynamics, solid mechanics, and so on, mechanical design, right? But I didn't really get much in the way of knowing how someone would go about manufacturing, say, a shaft, or how one would, whether it was better to weld something as opposed to bolt it together. And so that was a huge knowledge gap that I feel like I really suffered from early out in my career. And thankfully, I feel like I've gotten past that just because of exercising this first rule, which is spend some more time on the shop floor. So as I was working in the various small engineering companies that I worked for so far, my office was right next to the fab shop, if not legitimately inside the fab shop. So this gave me a few advantages. So because I was managing projects more recently in my career, I had to review the shop drawings and also ensure that whatever was fabricated in the shop matched those drawings and kept to a schedule. So being out there in the shop allowed me to do that a lot more efficiently, and it's also a unique opportunity. Other companies, such as maybe like the bigger companies, maybe wouldn't let an engineer just spend half their day out in the shop because maybe there's more administrative work, or maybe some potential safety violations that could occur. I'm not saying that my work environment was unsafe, but I am saying that there was no red tape to prevent me from seeing what happened in that fabrication environment. So I recommend, specifically while you're on the shop floor, talk to your machinists, your welders, your maintenance workers, anyone with that hands-on practical skill set, because they're going to know things that you did not learn in engineering school, or most likely did not learn. And that's going to help you a lot. It's going to help you in the future in your design process. And even better than talking with them or asking them questions is, if they're willing to, ask if you can help build things. If they're willing to take you on and kind of treat you as somewhat of an apprentice in that way, you'll be able to learn the shop process in a much more deeper, intimate way. And again, that's going to help you with your engineering design process. You'll be able to see things or think of things several steps ahead that others might not be able to, and it's just going to make you that much better of an engineer. As an added bonus, you'll probably get a little more respect from the people that work in the shop, just because a lot of engineers don't want to get out in the shop. They don't want to get their hands dirty. They don't want to they don't want to get grease on their khakis or whatever. But going out there and showing that you don't see that as a lesser position, and that you respect it and then you want to learn it, that will gain you a lot of respect with the people that work in that position. and that always helps build a team environment. My second tip of advice would be to go on site visits. Now, whether this is just an investigative visit just to see what's currently in place, or work with your customer to see what's going on in their facility, or if you've already designed and fabricated the equipment that you're installing and you go on an installation visit where you're helping direct the installation process. Either way, try to go on as many site visits as you can. In my previous position as a project manager, I would often try to do this. I didn't really realize the importance of it until fairly recently. It held me accountable because I had went to the site and I had seen what was trying to be accomplished. I was there with the customer face to face, which a site visit may be the only opportunity to do that. So you're able to ask as many questions, wrap your head around exactly what they're wanting. So it holds you accountable in that way. Additionally, it showed me some issues that I wouldn't have necessarily picked up just sitting behind the computer. So for example, there was one project that I worked on where I was making an overhead, essentially like an overhead mounting mechanism using structural steel overhead of a production line. And everything was fine until we got to the installation stage, in which I then found out that there was ductwork that was going overhead as well that was not shown in the engineering drawing of the site that would be installed at. So we had to find a workaround for that. Now, if I had gone to a site visit earlier on in the process and I had identified that and I'd have caught that, I would have known that that would have been an issue, and I could have circumvented that without having to delay the project or anything like that. Additionally, if it's a repeat customer, you're able to build an understanding with them and just make better design decisions because you're able to, you have a history with them, you are able to build a relationship, understand where they're coming from, what their goals are, and so on. And that always helps making better design decisions. So in order to do this, ask your supervisor or one of your coworkers if you can tag along on the site visit. You got to get the funding approved, you got to get the plane tickets ordered, or the lodging situated. But it's going to be well worth it because it's going to give you that added experience. You'll be able to add more of those items to your design checklist that you go down through every time that you're finishing up a design. And more than anything, it's going to be fun, right? I mean, there's nothing to lose. You're gaining knowledge, but you're also traveling, you're experiencing new things, new people, new areas of the country or the world if you're traveling internationally. So it's a great experience all around. So I highly recommend it. Go on site visits to increase your skill set with engineering design. And last but not least, number 3, get involved with different projects. At my previous company, I worked on several projects at a time out of the sheer necessity of it. It gave me a diverse experience and just a variety of problem and solution sets. I was able to see what another engineer's solution to a problem would be versus my own, and be able to ask questions and get a better understanding of how someone else thinks, and that's always helpful when you're working in a team environment. I was also able to take that knowledge and apply it to later projects that I ended up having. Now, I know that in, say, like co-op rotations, this tends to be a common thing for either co-ops or even fresh graduates out of college, but it's also helpful for even if you've been in the industry 10, 15 years, just maintaining that freshness, maintaining that you're not working on the same project for 5 years and that you don't get any other exposure. Over specialization, I think, is one of the biggest downfalls of being an engineer. You get so hyper specialized into a position that you're not really able to do anything else. So checking out different projects in any way you can, I think, can help combat that. So I would recommend doing this by just taking on a small chunk of work off of someone else's plate if you can. So ask a coworker, just say like, hey, there's a small chunk of this that I can work on. It's not pressing, it doesn't need to get done right now. Make sure it fits in your schedule too. But just break off a chunk, ask them to delegate. And this in turn is going to help them with leadership skills. Being able to delegate work when needed is crucial when you're a leader. Additionally, as you work, make sure that you ask questions from that person. So this is going to not only solidify your knowledge of the problem and why one solution might work over another, but it's also going to build trust, and it's going to build that sense of teamwork between you and your coworker. And then lastly, once you're finished, don't stop there. See if that person has maybe like a different chunk of the same project, or like another project entirely that they're working on that they say, well, you did really well with this, see if you can help me with that, or turn to any of your other coworkers and see if they have projects. Just keep that process going. Have a pet project that you work on every so often. It doesn't take up a lot of your time. It's just to keep your mind fresh. What if you don't have that extra time? What if you're just completely bogged down? That's okay. You can still get something from this. Have someone just explain their work to you. Whether it's over lunch, or whether it's just for 5 minutes before they go into a meeting or after they come out of a meeting, just those buffer periods, right? Just keep the details short, and it's going to help with communication skills. If they can articulate to you the problem solution, a bit of history of the project within 5 minutes, that's going to help them in their communication skills. And it's also going to prevent you from getting dragged into the project. We've all been there. We ask, hey, what are you working on? And then 30 minutes later, they're still talking about the project and all of the headaches it's had. So keeping it to like 5 or 10 minutes is going to be huge for both you and the person you're talking to. Ask questions about their design. Just see what their thoughts are, see what their reasoning is, and you can still get that similar benefit out of it that taking a chunk out of that project would also give you. So getting involved in different projects is going to give you more skill set. It's going to give you more perspective, more experience in seeing these different problem solution cases, and help you with your designs. So in conclusion, spending some time in the shop to learn some of those manufacturing processes and tips, going on site visits to add some of those design items to your design checklist, and immersing yourself in a variety of projects to become more well-rounded and experienced are all going to help you become a better designer. Whether you're an engineer or you're just a hobbyist, that's all going to help you become a better designer. If you like the content, if you like the tips that I'm giving, give me a thumbs up, or if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button, and I hope to see you soon. Thanks.